Guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we talk all about how you can find ways to make your products stand out when you're selling on Amazon FBA. The strategy that I'm going to show you today specifically is for private label when you are creating your own branded products on Amazon. And it's so important that when you are selling on a platform like Amazon, that you make sure that you are differentiating your product and doing everything you can to make sure that you don't look like every other product on the first page. There are many people who are under the impression that Amazon FBA is extremely saturated and so competitive, but the truth of the matter is it's only saturated and competitive if you are selling in niches where you don't have space to differentiate the product. For example, if you were trying to sell something very, very commonly used, for example, a cell phone case, that is going to be very hard to differentiate because there are only so many changes you can make to a cell phone case. You can make the design slightly different, but guess what? As soon as you do that, other people are going to copy you. So you have to find products where you are able to bring something new to the market, where you're going to set yourself apart from the other sellers, and that's what's going to make the difference between a $10,000 a month product and a product that makes no money at all. So if you're ready to learn how you can use the software to find differentiators for your product that your customers are actually going to want, stay tuned for this video. Before we get into using the software to identify strong differentiators for our private label products on Amazon FBA, I want to quickly point out the difference between the customer and the consumer. And it's very important that you can make this distinction because when you are looking for differentiators for your product, you have to know who you are marketing to. Now, the difference between a customer and a consumer is that a customer is whoever is buying your product, the person with the funds, okay? Whoever is purchasing that product, that is your customer. Sometimes your customer can also be the consumer. And the consumer is exactly what it sounds like, the person who is actually using the item or the being that is using the item. And I say that because it could be a product that is for a dog or a cat or some kind of an animal, and they are the consumer of the product, but obviously a dog cannot buy a product themselves. So the customer would be the dog owner. They're the ones who are buying the product. The dog is the one who is using the product. So if you have overlap and your customer is your consumer, then that's not something that you have to stress too much about. But if it happens that they are different and the product that you are selling is being bought by one and used by another, then you have to make sure that your differentiators are catering to the right person, right? So if it is something, again, let's use the dog example, that is supposed to make the dog owner's life easier. For example, let's say it is a certain type of a dog leash for the owner to walk their dog. The dog isn't necessarily going to care so much about how the leash looks, but maybe what is important is how comfortable the leash is. And obviously, the dog is not able to verbalize and say, hey, we don't like leashes that are too skinny. And so the dog owner is who is going to be identifying the pain points of that product, and they're the ones who are going to have to communicate what the issues are with the product because the actual consumer cannot. Another example of that would be baby products or products that are made specifically for kids who, if they're very young, if they're, a baby or even a young toddler, they might not be able to verbalize what is wrong with the product that they're using. And so it would be up to the caretaker to identify those issues and then communicate that to the seller through a product review, for example. So I hope that that is making sense, kind of that distinction between the customer and consumer and why it's important for us to know who is who so that when we pick differentiators, we are appealing to the customer and also always keeping in mind the consumer, because if the consumer enjoys the product, the customer is going to be happy. All right, we are inside of my laptop right now. We're, as always, on Amazon.com, and I want to just show you the way that I think through differentiators for products. And the reason that I want to show you guys this is because when I initially started selling on Amazon, I came up with a differentiator for my very first product. And guess what? People did not care about my differentiator whatsoever. And the reason that it flopped is because I didn't do any research into what people actually wanted. What improvements did they want? What were they complaining about? What things did they actually enjoy about the product? So you have to have an awareness of what the customers want? What are they saying? What is the general consensus of the product? So let's use an example here where we go to wine glasses. And we're going to just use this as an example. I'm in caps lock for some reason. And I think it would be interesting to see stemless wine glasses, just because we want to get a little bit specific. So let's do stemless instead of just a traditional wine glass. So we can see the different options for these wine glasses here. And as I scroll, I'm just kind of getting a feel for what is offered on the market if I was looking to potentially sell this product, which by the way, you should not, because this is glass, very delicate, and don't worry, I will prove my point when we go to the reviews. So we can see here that these options have some pretty solid reviews here, a high number of reviews, as well as every one that we've seen so far has a 4.5 star rating. So this basically tells me that they are doing a good job of insulating these glass and fragile items while they're being delivered, or else the reviews would be really bad. So this tells me that they're doing a solid job with packaging the products. And what I want to do is pick out the top seller here. So out of the results, and again, for those of you, if this is your first video of mine that you're watching, the reason that you're seeing all of this extra information on my screen is because I have a software downloaded called Helium 10. You can go ahead to the description and check out Helium 10. I've got a promo link there for you guys to use to get some money off, but it is incredible, very powerful as a tool, and it lets you do a million different things. So what you're seeing here is all of the extra data that is being populated by Helium 10. And what we can do is click on the top seller, and I want to look for one that is in the organic first position. So we see some of the sponsored items here. So we've got this one, it says sponsored, that means it's an ad. Another one here, sponsored, it's an ad. I'm skipping over this one because it's Amazon Basics, so it's literally Amazon's own private label brand, and I don't want to use them as an example because it's Amazon. Of course, they're gonna have more traction on their own listing because they can literally put themselves first. So after this other ad, I'm gonna go to the very first one. It's this brand called Luminarc, and I'm gonna go ahead and click on them. I'm not clicking on the sponsored one because one, if I click it, they're gonna have to pay for it, and I don't intend on buying the product, so I don't want to make them pay for something that I'm not gonna use. I know it shouldn't really matter, but I'm an Amazon seller myself, and I wouldn't want someone just clicking on my ad when I know they're not going to buy it. So I wanted to kind of look at the strongest seller organically. We can see here in the past 30 days, they've sold over 3,000 units of this item. Their Amazon FBA fee that they're paying is $13.17 off of a $23 price point. So that means that they're potentially working with $10 left over for the price of the product, not included, their ad spend not included. So I'm not sure exactly how much money in profit they're making off of each one, but I would assume at least $5, but that's not something that I can say with absolute certainty. Anyway, that's not the point of this video. Let's get back on track where we are trying to see how we could potentially differentiate a product like this that's very, very simple and very straightforward. We saw all of the other items and they all looked exactly the same. So how would we be able to differentiate this product, or would we not be able to differentiate? And if we can't differentiate, we should not be selling the product. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to just kind of scroll down and see what they're working with. And I already can see that they've got over 4,000 ratings and reviews. So this product has been bought to many a time. And if I wanted to know what people like about the product, what they dislike about the product, I would go to the reviews. So let me scroll down to the bottom, see what people are talking about here. What I like about the way that Amazon breaks down the reviews is that it kind of shows you an overall look at what is going on. You see the breakdown, 82% of the reviews are 5 stars, 11% are 4 stars, 4% are 3 stars, 1% 2 stars, and 2% 1 star. So the breakdown is that overwhelmingly these reviews are extremely positive. I like the by feature section right here that shows you the value for the money. People are saying it's easy to hold, versatile. We can click on more, giftable, durable, sturdy. So there's a lot of good things being said about this product. Now, I like to always look at the customer images whenever I am doing my market research and kind of looking at what is already being sold. And looking at the customer images just gives me a very good idea of the quality of these products. Because if I'm going to be competing with them, I want to make sure that the quality is at least the same, if not better. So let me check out the competition. Let me see what they're doing. We can see that this glass looks very nice, but with this review, they're saying that one of them is already broken. So it could be a quality issue with the glass, maybe not. We can see other people just kind of taking regular pictures with their dinner. Another person saying that another one cracked right out of the box. So it's giving me, ooh, broken. This one looks like it had a stem, and what this makes me think is that when they originally sold this product, they probably were doing regular wine glasses, and then they were getting a lot of complaints about the stem, so they decided to just do stemless, and then they changed the product. That is my best guess as to why that one had a stem. So that must have been an older review. Let me just confirm. Oh, this is from 2021. At the time of recording, this is 2023. It's possible that they've changed. I mean, in 2 years, they could have definitely changed the product. This one's from 2017, and we can see that they did have stems at one point. So it's possible that they switched over in 2021 or 2020. So that makes a lot of sense. Oh, you know what? Let me go back up here and see. Maybe they have a variation that does have a stem. Yep, okay, there we go. See, it's always important to pay attention. That went over my head. I'm glad I came back to check. They've got different options. So they've got the stemless ones. They've got the ones that do have the stem. So just different variations of what they have. It looks like not all of them are available at the moment. And it looks like they're probably focusing more on the stemless options. But they do have this martini set here too. So they've got a bunch of different ones that they sell. So that is definitely good to know as we're reading through the reviews. As we're looking down, when we are taking a look, we can see reviews that mention any number of phrases. Stemless wine, good quality, well made, Olivia Pope, which is funny, break easily, great price, great quality, made in the USA, blah, blah, blah. So people are mentioning certain things over and over again. There are lots of different ways that you can look at these items, but what I like to do, and the whole reason we are here in this video, is to show you this tool that makes it even easier to look and see what's going on here. So I'm going to my Helium 10 Google Chrome extension, which is this one with the bars right here up top, and when I click on it, I can see a bunch of different tools, but the one we're going to look at today is called Review Insights. If I click on Review Insights right here, what I can see is an incredible amount of information, and essentially what we can see is an overview. So this is, once again, kind of that breakdown of the ratings right here. I think that this looks a little bit different because it is talking specifically about the clear wine glasses. So I think that's why the distribution looks slightly different here with this tool. But what we can see is that we can kind of segment these by any metric we want. So we can look at all reviews, we can look at all questions, we can look at the review analysis, which is what I love to look at, which once again kind of does a similar thing to what the Amazon version does without this tool, where it kind of shows you what things are being mentioned. But what I like is that it shows you how many times they're being mentioned and then the overall review that they got based off of what was said. So for example, the phrase "love these" had an average review of 4.8 for the reviews that mentioned "love these," which makes sense. They're praising it, so they would give it a high review. But let's see if we can find one that's a little bit more critical here. This one, it says "if you," but that's not very descriptive. I want to find one more. So this one says "glasses have." I don't know what they're talking about, but obviously they are not very pleased. So if I click on it, I can see all 16 of the reviews that mention "glasses have." So this one says they break very easily. Also, for some reason, they retain a layer of soap when cleaned. only crystal clear first use. Not high-end crystal glasses, a fair amount of defects like thickness, differences in wall, gobs on lip, but for the money it's a win. So they are just talking about the things that they are not very happy with. So they're basically saying that the glasses have stains and are kind of hard to clean. So we can see a bunch of different things. Only received one glass. That's not really about the quality, but more so how the item was delivered to them. So we can see a bunch of different reviews here. And then if we go back up, let's see if we can find maybe one more that's a bit more critical as well. These ones that are talking about the glasses being arriving broken. So this one is right here, and let's see if we can find one. One of the glasses was warped and jagged at top. Let's see here. Some are useless. Weird patterns. That's an interesting defect. It seems like some of them are not the best quality, which is unfortunate. This one's still talking about broken glass. Obviously not a great thing. So anyway, you can continue to kind of dig in here and see more about what people are mentioning in their reviews. And then you can also see the product variation. So you can break down the information by what the variation is, which is also very helpful. So the whole point of this tool is that it helps you to be able to sift through the information more quickly. If you're looking at a product where there are not that many reviews, you probably wouldn't need to use this tool. You could simply just read through them and get the gist of what is going on. But with this, you can kind of see what people are complaining about, and the things that we could kind of identify is that people were saying that some of them were arriving broken, some of them had kind of weird patterns to them, some of them were hard to clean and did not, come out clear after going in the dishwasher. So those are some things that you could potentially bring up with your supplier. So when you're talking to them, you could say, hey, I want to know if there's a way that we can ensure that there are no weird grooves or patterns within the glass when they're made. Are there any materials or treatments we can give the glass to make sure that they are easy to clean and that they don't have spots when people try to wash them? You can bring up these things with your supplier. Whether they'll be able to do it every time, I don't know, but at least you have concrete information to base your differentiators upon. Does that make sense? So if we go back to the initial search page here, sometimes you can just identify whether or not a product niche is saturated or not simply by looking at the first page. And with this first page, we glanced at it before, but if we take a look again, we can see that there's really not much variation between these different items. A glass is a glass, right? So it's going to be a little bit hard to figure out ways that you can differentiate. This one here has a little bit of a slightly different shape. I mean, not a super strong differentiator. We've got this one here that's got a little bit of a different shape as well, but it's nothing significant. This one here has an intentional kind of pattern within the glass, which makes it look a little bit more intricate, I suppose. Not sure that people truly care about that or not. This one actually has kind of a cooler shape, and maybe it's just the way that this main image is styled that it makes it seem like you could place it on its side. I'm not sure if you can or if this is just how they're showing it, but at least it jumped out to me as I'm scrolling. And that's the thing that you want to remember, is that it factor for when someone is scrolling on page one, what is going to make them stop and what is going to make them give that listing an extra second, because that extra second is all it takes sometimes to really get traction on your listing, is that your main image gives people something interesting to look at, whether or not it's really a big deal. That's why we can see here that some of them are making them different colors, because that jumps out to people as they're scrolling. These ones that are just plain glasses, they're putting different colored liquids inside, again, to try to make it stand out. That's a desperate attempt to try to make them look more interesting. These ones here, you can see that they've got different patterns. If they were more knowledgeable about Amazon selling with this listing, they would have made this main image with 3 of these designs on top, 3 on the bottom, so that they could make it larger. Your main image is all about taking up as much white space as you can, and unfortunately these look tiny compared to the other listings on the first page. So that is something they could definitely improve on. With that specific listing, they should make each of these glasses a lot bigger to take up all of the white space. So which one are you guys more attracted to? This one here, the 6 with the different patterns, or this one here? I mean, it's cool that they have differences about them, but these ones look so much more clear, so much more illustrative. I really feel like I know what I'm gonna get. So that's kind of a pro tip for you guys. Take up as much white space as possible. These ones are pretty. They look like they're like rainbow or multicolored. They look nice. But as you can see, this is not an easy product to differentiate. And for that reason, I wouldn't sell this product, along with the fact that it's glass, along with the fact that it's competitive. This would just be a no-go for me. So think of how you can make your product stand out in functionality and design and just aesthetically so that you can stand out when you are on page 1. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you got some information on how you can kind of look at your competitors and see what they're doing in order to kind of think through differentiators that your customers would appreciate. That will give you a lot better of a chance of selling well when you launch your first product on Amazon. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.